Welcome to the 1986 LA to Cabo San Lucas race.
Sometimes it takes a little muscle to make this boat do what you want it to do. Yep. Hi, John.
Howdy do.
You're on Candid Camera. What do you think of this stuff this morning?
This is wild.
Isn't it?
This is wild.
Like this?
Keep waiting for it to get boring. It hasn't yet. Just some of the people.
Oh, really? You want to tell us more about that?
Each year the race is comprised of 50 boats from, well, mostly the West Coast, and they're almost always all pure racing boats. But not us. The Revelation was a Cardinal 46. I was the original owner of it. I had it for 7 years. And then Ed Quesada, the tactician on this race, bought it from me, and he still has it to this day. He had raced with me extensively for 3 years, and we had both done the Cabo race the year before. We took family and friends and kids, and believe it or not, we finished dead last. I decided that we could do better this year, so no family and friends, and I took 7 race-hardened sailors, but not professionals. These are just guys that love racing on the weekends.
Baker's still in one piece up there.
What?
No.
Hi, man.
Hi.
How are you?
Hi, sports fans.
Hi, kid.
Hi, sports fans.
Sailing. This is what it's all about, folks.
We're underwater.
What is that?
It's just
That's a,
you find it for underwater. So
If you want to advertise for Canon, why don't you?
this is the Canon camera. Made in Mexico. By Japanese people in Guadalajara. This is our tactician, folks. He's the one that tells us which way to point the boat. Go that way.
Okay, Michael, where are we?
EMF is now gearing.
Hi there.
Hiya, folks.
Here we have the tip of Baja California.
No, MF down there.
And here's our line that we've been coming on down here. Okay. And we can see, if we look off the port there, we can see these rocks right along here on the tops of these mountaintops. Straight off right in here. So we got about this far to go to Cabo San Lucas.
Well, Phil, what do you have to say to your beloved ones?
No comment. 4 miles before we hit the Tropic of Cancer.
Stay flexible.
Yeah, I might have saved 2 hours.
At least 2 hours. At least 2 hours.
The Sagredo Sea.
Wasn't the command to go for the wind? Go for speed?
Well,
True. Reach west. Go west, young man.
Go
You ever
west.
heard that? Horace Greeley, the great tactician, said, go west.
But that was 60 degrees.
Before I get too far into this, I want to introduce the crew. There's me, and then there's Ed Quesada, I mentioned before, who's my tactician. And then Jim Austin had sailed with me several times before. Richard Countess was the commodore of my yacht club, the Pierpont Bay Yacht Club in Ventura. Then there was John Borneman, very interesting guy. He was the head of the Audubon Society in California at that time, and he wanted to come along so badly that he volunteered to do all the cooking. And he was a gourmet chef. He actually prepared a 3-meal-a-day menu for 10 days. It was supposed to be a 5-day race, and A lot of the boats ran out of food, but not John. Phil Horschler, our master trimmer. Mike Graham, our EMT. I seldom see any of these guys anymore. Ed I still see on Facebook. I see that he's got the boat down in Mexico now. Jim I haven't seen for several years. Richard, I try to see him and his wife Sue whenever we're back in California and we're out at the Ventura Harbor, because they're still very active in the yacht club. John and Mike I have totally lost track of, have no idea where they are. Phil I still see whenever he comes flying through either Paris or Frankfurt. We'll try to see him for a day or so whenever that happens. And then Steve Wetch I still sail with today. As a matter of fact, Steve and I are going sailing in the Baltic next week.
7 be 15 minutes long.
That's all the stuff without Ferrell.
As I said, this was supposed to be a 5-day race, but this year was very, very slow. Plus they had added Guadalupe Island, which is 400 miles offshore, as a mark of the course. So what you're looking at here is day 7 of what was for us a 8-day race.
So they get their food by stealing it from other birds, or else skimming down over the water and picking up something near the surface. They have over a 6-foot wingspan, about a 6.5-foot wingspan. They nest in short shrubs on islands in tropical areas, mangrove shrubs, Florida, things like that.
We had lost 80 miles to the rest of the fleet on the first night out because the B and C watches both decided that it would be better to turn south rather than staying on a westerly course as instructed. What they didn't realize, I suppose, was that there's no wind in sight. You got to get outside in this race. So 49 boats went west and 1 boat went south. This put us in a totally different race than the rest of the fleet for the next 6 days. But on the 7th day, things changed. With the rest of the fleet ghosting in along the coast with 3 or 4 knots of wind, we were still way outside with a full gale building dead aft.
Stop right there.
Go with the 2.2 ounce.
Yeah, we get 30. We get I'd say 16 on the non-meter. Just
Apparent wind?
yeah, the apparent wind from this angle is about 13, about 2.2. Yeah, but it was starting to break too much.
That's the only street we haven't had out.
No, we had it out at Spindlever one. Spindlever.
Yeah, the sail's breaking. That's it, sail.
Come on.
When the wind picked up, you could see the smiles break out all around.
I'll keep it over too.
The Revelation was really built for this kind of weather. She weighed 26,000 pounds, with half of that weight in her fin keel that drew 8 feet. At this point, the wind speed was 46 knots, with the boat speed varying between 13 and 14 knots. Eventually, the sea built to 12 feet with a moment of 20 seconds, and the wind topped out at 58 knots. Ed had brought his camera along to record the event, but his camera was the size of a Buick. And as the wind built, we got too busy to film anymore, so the really exciting part of the trip you don't get to see. We're kicking up quite a rooster tail here. But this is nothing compared to what happened later after we bruised this 3/4 ounce spinnaker. I replaced it with a 2.2 ounce bulletproof spinnaker. So, for all you cruisers who want to be racers, listen very carefully. For 3 hours, we averaged 17 knots. That's right, 17 knots. And with the rest of the crew downstairs eating dinner, for one glorious moment, with only Ed and me in the cockpit, surfing down a wave on a 26,000-pound surfboard, 20 knots. 20 knots. In a sailboat. 20 knots in a cruising sailboat. I still remember the feeling. It felt like a runaway freight train. When I did the fleet check-in that night and reported our average speed at 17 knots, for about 5 seconds, it was total dead silence. And then someone came on and said, "Say again?"
Steve, what course are you steering?
Well, who knows? Steering the speedometer.
What's the speedometer read?
Well, 14. Next one's good one, Steve.
Yeah, we just had it. Okay. Steve just set the record a while back, or tied the record, that is. We surfed down the face of one, and he actually had the outlog up to 17 knots.
How much sleep did you get last night, Steve?
Lots.
17
We need sleep when it's like this.
14. This will keep us up all night.
We made up 135 miles on the fleet that day. We finished third in our class, and we finished 12th overall.
Fair and easy L, mate. Seems to be pointing its own nose in the direction of Cabo.
Yes.
Come home with a few Irish pennants here and there. A few battered crewmen. Torn hands, torn feet.
You know, Ed, it really wasn't so bad getting the water splashed on us, but when the fish started coming over the side, that was a little much. Slap my body.
Howdy, howdy.
Good morning. Good
Howdy.
morning.
Well, here we are, 30 miles away from Cabo San Lucas. One of the members who slept through it all.
Yeah, right.
Time, huh? This is a Revelation approaching the finish line. Our ETA is about 90 minutes. Our speed is 7 knots. Current wind 6. Under 3/4 ounce spinnaker and main. Ed Casada at the helm. John on the sheet. Rest of the crew pooped out below.
Now, it looks pretty calm here compared to yesterday, but we're still doing 7 knots.
People running up the beach.
Merlin, a pure racing boat, came out to greet us at the finish line. Now, if you've made it this far, you're not totally astounded. Then you just don't know sailing. Thanks for watching.